Are men terrified of a secure relationship? We're going to dive into this conversation today. Now, to share with you where this was birthed, I want to note that I went through a divorce almost 20 years ago. And I can't begin to tell you how much I heard the following from men in the dating marketplace that women are crazy. And while in relationship, I should say, and while some might um, that might refer to some women who have mood swings. I think what they were primarily talking about was unhealthy relationship patterns. And this is why some men prepare themselves for confrontation with women. But what happens when a man encounters an emotionally stable woman? If he's not emotionally stable, we're going to dive into 5 things that may happen for that man. But I want to share with you that there's a lot of for the women who are watching this and for the men that are watching this as well. There's a lot of rhetoric out there, particularly directed towards men. How women have toxic behavior, how women have crazy behavior, that they have superficial behavior. And this has been certainly amplified since the invention of social media and the need to be, influencer out in the marketplace. An influencer on the marketplace. I think you know where I'm going with this. But certainly there's a lot of conversation around how women are entitled. This is the conversation that men are listening to, that they'll lose all their money if they get divorced, that women only care about the top 5% of men in the dating marketplace. And that's discouraged a lot of men to be in relationship. Hence why I say men are emotionally preparing themselves for the worst. But the reality is there's a lot of good people out there. I just think they're bad daters. And sure, it's a dysfunctional marketplace out there. It's the Hunger Games out there. And I'm not saying that as a scare tactic. I'm just here to draw attention that from both men and women, there are emotionally wounded people out in the dating marketplace that seek companionship, connection, and sex, but they aren't capable of a solid commitment. I'm going to repeat that. They're not capable of solid commitment. I think when a person's wounds exceeds their capacity, their desire, their vision for a relationship, when their fears, their wounds are even their fantasy, I think a lot of people, both men and women alike, have this delusion about themselves. They probably overvalue their capacity to be in relationship or overvalue what they can attract in relationship, hence the fantasy, or that they're holding out for the best. And year after year goes by, and they find themselves single 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, even 20 years. In fact, recently I had a video where men were commenting how they've been single for decades because they've been disappointed with their experiences with women. But let me just say this for the men watching, you guys have been brainwashed by a lot of rhetoric out there. And for the women watching this, I just want to share that we have a wounded population of women just as much as we do men. And so this is why I'm a big proponent of doing the inner work, by doing to heal childhood wounds and adult traumas to make you better prepared for a relationship. But why are men terrified of a secure relationship? Well, again, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why a man might be fearful of it if he's not in a stable place himself. By the way, I have a hair that's here somewhere and I just need to wipe this off of me. Please excuse me. So the first fear that a man has is fear of losing his freedom, fear of losing his freedom. You see, a secure relationship often requires consistency, accountability, and emotional availability. And some men fear that commitment at that level means losing independence, spontaneity, and control over their lives. And here's the thing. Genuine relationship ready men aren't afraid of this. Men who have done the work to heal childhood wounds and adult traumas, men who are going to therapy, men that do personal development work, spiritual work. See, they're not afraid of this, particularly the men that are committed to commitment. Now, not all men are committed to commitment. Not all men want commitment. But those men that are genuinely committed to commitment, they don't have a fear of losing their freedom because they recognize that a relationship with another person actually expands their life. It doesn't constrict their life. And yet many men have bought into this notion that women aren't good for them. In fact, there's a whole movement called Men Going Their Own Way. There's a red pill movement that basically criticizes women. And sadly, for those of you ladies watching, you're talking to a lot of brainwashed men. And I can recognize from your vantage point how frustrating that is, because it's hard enough to find someone who isn't stuck in fear, stuck in fantasy, stuck in past relationships. But God forbid, particularly the men out there that are being brainwashed by so much rhetoric. And guys, if you're watching this right now, I know you're going to criticize me and to suggest that is valid. But let me just say this. Most women and men, as I said before, are good people. They're good people. Most people want love deep down in their soul. We're just not good at relationships. In fact, I think it was James Sexton that said marriage is a failed technology or a weak technology. See, people aren't good at relationships. They haven't read the books like 8 Dates by Doctors John and Julie Gottman. I highly recommend reading this book. It's a great blueprint for beginning a relationship with another person. You may want to read this book as well. Let me find this one. Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. By the way, all the books I recommend are listed below in Jonathan Recommend Books. Why I'm sharing this with you is, look at, for the guys that are watching this that you think you're such good communicators, most likely you're not. And ladies, just because you want a relationship doesn't make you any better prepared to be in a relationship. We have a very dysfunctional dating marketplace with humans with poor emotional maturity and weak relationship skills. Until you've done a deep dive into healing oneself, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's what I've observed in the dating marketplace today. See, men are terrified of secure relationships, not just for losing their fear of freedom, but number two, unfamiliarity with emotional safety. Unfamiliarity with emotional safety. If a man grew up with chaos, with criticism or abandonment, the calmness of a secure relationship can feel foreign or even suspicious to a man. Let me repeat that. If a man grew up with chaos, criticism, or abandonment, the calmness of a secure relationship can feel foreign or even suspicious. And by the way, for you men watching, this is so true for women as well. Humans are on guard right now. They're reluctant to open up because they're suspicious if they've had 1, 2, or 3 bad relationships in their lives. And God forbid they had a traumatic childhood growing up, unfamiliarity with emotional safety. And let me just say this, relationship, for the women watching this and for the guys watching this too, relationship ready men are prepared. They've done the personal development, self-help, spiritual work. They've read books like here, how about this book? Look at this title, How to Be an Adult in Relationship. Guys, if you're watching this, and when I say guys, I mean men, you all act like you know your shit when it comes to relationships. But trust me, many of you are children in relationship. And ladies, you're no picnic either. We have a wounded walking population in the dating marketplace, and many of them aren't grown up. And so I'm merely suggesting, why not work on oneself, instead of expecting that the relationship is going to bring you joy. Here in the United States, we are suckling on the nipple of, I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. I need you to like me so I can feel good about myself. I need you to validate me all the time so I can feel good about myself. We are suckling on the nipple of that. And no wonder we are in complication in the dating marketplace. And by the way, there's so much arrogance going on, so much vanity going on, so many expectations centered around attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection. No wonder people aren't joining up in genuine love with one another. And if I'm screaming at the top of my lungs right now, please forgive me. By the way, I need to get a sip of water because I know I'm screaming right now, or I'm yelling right now because I'm so passionate about creating a wake-up call for people. Now, here's one, number 3, and I can personally relate to this. Fear of being truly seen. Fear of being truly seen. A secure relationship exposes vulnerabilities. There's no hiding behind bravado, work, or distractions. Let me repeat that. There's no hiding behind bravado, work, or distractions. Being seen at the depths can be terrifying if he worries about not being enough or being rejected once the mask comes off. I know this from personal experience. I have my fears, my insecurities, my doubts, my negative patterns, my limiting beliefs. And I have been in a circumstance where I wonder if that was the reason why my last partner ended the relationship. Now, some of the men watching, well, if you're a weak guy, then she should leave you. Folks, insecurity is we human beings, men and women alike, are riddled with insecurities. And to be seen for that, to be vulnerable, quite frankly, as Brene Brown talks about, is true courage. And for the guys watching this, vulnerability is true courage. And when you're with a secure woman, she doesn't run when you share your genuine fears. So long as you're not stuck in them, and so long as you're not in a repeating pattern over and over, so long as you're making effort to grow past your negative patterns, your limiting beliefs, so long as you're making effort. And let me just say this, a relationship-ready man is prepared. He wants to grow past his limitations. He's prepared to be seen by someone. But a lot of men are so terrified of truly being seen. And a lot of them hide behind work. They hide behind bravado. They hide behind distractions. Ladies, have you ever experienced a man that's hidden behind his work, hidden behind his distractions? I'm sure you have. And no wonder you found yourself disappointed. For the guys watching, let me tell you, there is an abundance of women who are genuinely sincere and secure enough to be in relationship. They're not crazy, as my friend said to me early on. There are genuinely good women, and there are genuinely good men out there. It takes a little bit of effort to find it, but they exist. Number 4, past traumas and old baggage heartbreak, or baggage, old heartbreak. Or let me rephrase that. Past traumas and baggage, okay? Old heartbreak, betrayal, toxic dynamics can leave scars. When a woman offers a steady love, it can trigger unresolved wounds, leading to withdrawal or sabotage as a form of self-protection. I'm going to share from my own personal experience as well. I've got past traumas. I've got baggage from my last relationship, and being in a steady can trigger those unresolved, because I'm not being triggered in this relationship, but not being triggered triggers me. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I'm preparing for the worst. And a lot of men operate this way. Guys, let me just say this. Whether it's a man or woman, and when I say guys, I mean men right now. Okay, men, whether it's a man or woman, we all have baggage. We all have stuff, particularly those of us in midlife. And I say midlife is after baby making years and before retirement. That's the demographic I speak to. I'm not speaking to a 20 or 30-year-old demographic. They're oftentimes in the baby making years of their life. It's a lot different for us in midlife. And our past traumas and baggage can affect us. Heartbreak, betrayal, toxic dynamics can leave scars, as I said before. And when a woman offers that steady love, it can be triggering, it can be jarring. But let me tell you, that's what you deeply want, men that you're listening to this. And women, I know you want to give that secure space for a man. Because within a secure relationship, you feel grounded, you feel present, you feel connected to one another. And number 5, the pressure of expectations. Men often carry internalized beliefs that they must prove and perform and protect. In a secure relationship, even love is shared. The pressure of not failing her can be overwhelming and keep men from leaning fully in. Yes, the pressure of expectations cause a lot of men to go partway into a relationship, just that basic companionship, that basic connection, that basic physical connection or sex, but not go all in emotionally, not go all in from that place of want to take care of you. Because ultimately, folks, in my opinion, we have casual relationships and we have serious relationships. Let's exclude hooking up, friends with benefits, and situationships. Casual, there's no direction. There's no destination. It's living in the moment. A serious relationship has a destination in mind. It's about going all in. And all in means I want to take care of you when things get rough. And sadly, a lot of men aren't prepared for this. And this is why they're terrified of secure relationships. But a man who's relationship ready, a man where his desire, his vision, his capacity exceeds his fears, his past hurts, and even his fantasies. That relationship ready man, when he meets a secure woman, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. And I recognize that many of you are watching this say, God, this sounds so rare. Yeah, it might feel rare, but let me just tell you, there are secure relationships that are being formed every day. And it starts by being grounded within yourself. It starts by a healthy dose of what I talk about in my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, Spiritual Work. I highly recommend checking out, getting them out in my book. It's listed below. Because when you have a healthy dose of self-love and two people who genuinely love themselves, and I don't mean from that selfish, vanity, narcissistic way, but an empowered, sovereign way, when those two people get together from a secure point, and let me just tell you, they have a juicy, delicious, healthy, happy relationship. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell and hit that hype bell as well to hype this video out. And again, if you want to connect with me, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's links to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's links to get all the books I recommend listed below. All right, those who know my life format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, there's a little chat box in the corner. Write the word question, then post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. All of the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Aslake. Here's a picture of him right there in his Obey shirt. That's his brother, Colin. He's my son who passed away over 7 years ago. And his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and scholarships to coaching as well. And our goal tonight is $50, so we'd appreciate some love. Nature's Flow says there's a difference between taking care and controlling a person. I totally agree with that. Ronnie says it's sinking in, but is it rare? It can feel rare. Julie Gillipsy says, my boyfriend had a bad divorce. His wife ended up being gay. He worried that I was gay. LOL. I'm secure with him, but I don't think he's fully secure with me. Reminds me of Ross from Friends. Thank you for that. Nature's Flow goes on to share, this is important to reflect on, vulnerability. I agree. Let's see what else we have. Tanya says, we all have wounds. My ex was petrified because he wasn't stable. My mother, narcissistic, ex-wife, sociopath. Poor darling, I walked away. He never wanted to share a life. I can totally understand. Yeah, it sounds like he didn't do his work to heal from that, and hasn't fully taken ownership. By the way, if anyone wants to join the Love Seat, I'm posting a link right now. You can join me live. We can be on camera. We can talk about anything you want. Becky wants to know, what does red pill mean? Well, the red pill is a reference to the movie, The Matrix, where they had an option to take a blue pill or a red pill, and the red pill represented the truth. So there's a group of people out there that are hyping on this notion of red pill when it comes to relationship, believing that it's the truth. There's a group called the Manosphere, that amplifies this. Basically, my Cliff Note version of it, that women are gold diggers, that they're selfish, that they only care about the cream of the crop, that they are hypergamous, meaning they, again, only want the cream of the crop, and that most women are only looking for that rich guy that's going to take them to Dubai and be on the yacht and that sort of thing. Well, the irony is, the red pill talks about such a small percentage of the population to make it representative of the average person. You know, the average man doesn't own a yacht. The average man doesn't know the bouncer at the clubs and that sort of thing. And the red pill is hyper focusing that feminism ruined relationships, that we need to go back to some structure of where the man is the leader relationship and a woman is subservient in the relationship. That's my interpretation of a lot of red pill rhetoric. And again, I think in some cases we can have traditional type of relationships, but I also believe as a woman, do you really want to be dependent upon a man for your survival? And do you want to be under a man who is controlling versus a man who operates from a place of cooperativeness, not my way or the highway? So, Becky, that's my Cliff Note version of the red pill. I'd like to know what you've heard about it. And if you have any other questions, folks, write the word question, then post the question thereafter. Anne Marie goes on to say, he has never been in a proper offline relationship at 57. I have my work cut out, I think. Gotcha. Okay, Gina's in the house with a question. Hi, together now 3.5 years, still waiting to meet the grown daughter, says he is still working on it. How do I muster up more patience? We do so great together in so many ways. Well, I'd be curious, what does he need to muster up? Or, you need to muster up the patience. He says he's working on it. What's he working on? You've been together 3.5 years. His penis goes inside your vagina on a regular basis. Folks, if you're having regular sex with someone you should, by the way, 3.5 years, if you're not beginning to integrate your lives together, this guy probably isn't serious about he doesn't have a long-term mating strategy. He's just living in the moment, enjoying the benefits. He's getting wife benefits at girlfriend prices. Okay, he's getting wife benefits at girlfriend prices. And how do I muster the patience? I would say, look, if I don't meet your daughter soon, I'm done in this relationship. Well, again, sorry, I get kind of agitated when I read comments like this because I just want to drive over there, Gina, on your behalf, look him straight in the eye and go, man to man, tell me what the heck is going on with you right now. Folks, I'm your big brother. If I could meet the guy, I'd pull out my shotgun and say, what's your intentions with my sister? Because if you don't have serious intentions, I'm blowing your head off. Okay. Not literally, figuratively. Okay. But look at 3.5 years. If you guys aren't talking about the future and building a future together, then all you have is a situation. You have a casual relationship, a situationship. Anyone else agree with me with respects to Gina? I'd be curious to hear what you all have to say. But that's my rough perception of what's going on. 3.5 years, and you say, we're so great together. What does that mean? Are you building a life together? You should meet his grown children, unless they live out of state or something. Becky wants to go on and say, thanks. I had no idea what the red pill meant. I'm on the same page as you. I want to co-create a relationship. There you go. Stacy's in the house. Question, do you suggest a person date even when they've had some residue or past trauma working on healing? I'm a big believer that if your fear, your pain, or your fantasy exceeds your desire, capacity, and vision, if you're still in pain, then I would heal the pain before I put myself out there. Residue is a different thing. We all have scars and residue. It's okay to have scars and residue. And if you're working on it, then you want to be with a partner who supports your growth, a partner who says, I want to walk this with you. That's what you're looking for. So you want to find someone who understands your past and says, I want to walk this path with you. That's the way I look at it anyway. Okay, great question. We have a man in the house, Phil. Alo, alo. I don't know what that means. Okay. Layla is in the house. How do I handle a guy who was all over me that said he doesn't really know what he wants? Well, I'm assuming when you say handle, you mean, I think you need to politely, when someone is all over you, you might simply ask the question, what am I doing that gives you permission to be all over me? You might want to ask, what am I doing to give you permission to be all over me? Because that's unacceptable behavior. And if you don't know what you want, then why are we even having a conversation? And by the way, Layla, this requires you to know what you want. If you want a fully committed relationship where you're seeing each other 3 or 4 days and nights a week, doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in your personal and professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy that leads to either moving into getting together. If that's what you want and he doesn't want the same thing, then you know what? There's a great 4-letter word, NEXT. But you don't need to handle anything. What am I doing that gives you permission to do this? Might be a smart-ass way of approaching it anyway. Gina's come back and said, he is still trying to work out issues with his older daughter. He assures me he wants a future with me, so that keeps me waiting. Yeah, this guy sounds like he's what I call a spender, okay? There's 3 types of people actively dating, Gina. There are users, there are grower builders, roughly about 20%, users about 20%, spenders. They seek connection, companionship, and sex. They have no direction, uncertain, fearful, usually have a dysfunctional life. They spend time with you. You're a placeholder, most likely, in his life. There's nothing he needs to figure out after 3 years with his children. There is nothing he needs to figure out. I don't care. If he sees his children on a regular basis, then you have every right to tag along. Now, if he has a dysfunctional relationship with his kids, I'd want to know why it's dysfunctional. I'd want to know why he might be estranged from his children. He might have some major issues that you're unaware of. But 3.5 years, look at 6 months, the first 6 months of your relationship, sure. Maybe even 9 months. If you haven't met children in 9 months, the first 9 months, there's something wrong with this guy. And he assures you of a future. Does he make plans for it? Are you guys looking at living together? Are you guys talking about buying property together? Do you talk about your finances together? Do you any of that? I'd be curious to know the answers to that. Stacy says, I'm working on it. Thank you, J.A. And Layla says, thank you, J.A. I appreciate that. Hey, if you have a question, write the word question and post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $sign in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Aslay, which we give those monies away. Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and scholarships to coaching as well. Nature wants to come back and say, for me, my relationship with God comes first, the healing and love for myself, then a partner. I do believe our relationship with our divinity, our higher self, is radically important. I also believe our relationships are radically important, whether it's romantic relationships or our familiar relationships or our social relationships. They're all important, but I do believe our connection with our life starts with our connection with our divinity. And that's how we put the oxygen mask on ourselves first. So I kind of relate to you there. Gina comes back and says, thank you. You're very welcome. Baha. I don't want to even sleep with a man without marriage. How to tell a man that I'm not interested in sex without marriage? You just did. Say, I am not physically intimate until I'm married. You can put that on your dating bio. Most likely you're going to get 0 clicks. But I mean, I'm going to say, but I would then probably date people that are Christian, that adhere to the same Christian or Muslim even. Well, I guess there's a lot of religions. I would date people that already subscribe to that. Most likely you'd have to go with people that are more religious, most likely. But you don't need to tell. You can just say it right in the beginning. You just did it. How do I tell a man that I'm not interested in sex? I just say, I don't have sex until I'm married. Now, again, in our current dating environment, you probably get very few swipes. So that's why you want to go to places where men also agree with that. Hey, I want to give Debbie some props for the $20 super sticker. Thank you for the love, Debbie. We appreciate you so much. You are one of the kindest, lovingest, caringest people I know. I can't begin to tell you how much appreciation I have for you. I just want to give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of appreciation. All right. If you have a question, write the word question and then post the question there after. All right, we're going to give it another minute if we have a bashful group. By the way, if anyone wants to join the Love Seat, here's the link. You can join me live. You can ask me a question. All right. Debbie goes on to say, thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate all you do. Oh, thank you so much. Stacy wants to thank you as well. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to give it one more minute if we don't have any comments or questions. I wonder if I have any questions left over on my sheet. Oh, yeah, I do, actually. I've got a sheet of questions that came in. Jonathan, in almost every relationship I've had, I've ended up being the caregiver or the fixer. How can I break the pattern and avoid falling into that role again? So to the person that asked this question, obviously awareness represents probably 80% of this. In other words, you're aware of this pattern. So reminds me of the story of my autobiography in 5 short chapters. So chapter 1, you're walking down the street. There's a hole in the sidewalk. You fall in. You're lost. You're helpless. But you say, this isn't my fault. It takes forever to get out. Chapter 2, you walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. You fall in again. You can't believe you're in the same place, but you say, it's not my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 3, I'm walking down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it. I fall in. I recognize this is a habit. It's my fault. I get out quickly. Chapter 4, I'm walking down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. So in this particular case, if you know this is your pattern, then you have to be able to see the hole in the sidewalk. Your pattern is, I am an enabler. I'm a fixer. I'm too much of a caregiver. Now, I believe a relationship should be like a seesaw. Give and receive and give and receive and give and receive and give. It should be a nice balanced flow. It's not always 2 people always giving, and you can't be always 2 people receiving, but it's a nice balance. And if it's an imbalance, then you have to ask yourself, what's causing me? Go back to the root cause of this and go back and ideally heal this, but you're aware of it enough. So if you can listen, self-discipline doesn't care how you feel. Self-discipline says, I'm not going to follow this pattern. And that's my invitation for you. Debbie says, I love that. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Debbie. All right. If you have a question, write the word question, then post the question thereafter. Or as I said before, you can purchase a super sticker, super chat, just like Debbie did. All right, question. Nadia's in the house. What if this great guy is still linked to his deceased wife? He's trying, but I do not see a lot of movement. Yeah, you know, people that have been deeply in love and lost a spouse, you know, the grieving process could take many, many years in some cases if they haven't fully grieved them. And recognize that that spouse is always going to be a part of their life. Everyone we loved is always part of our life. But you don't see a lot of movement. Well, then I guess you have to evaluate your relationship on its own merits. You have to evaluate the relationship on its own merits. And if the relationship itself doesn't fulfill you and he hyper focuses on his spouse who's passed away, then you have to ask yourself, what's his capacity? You've already said, I don't see movement. So I'm curious, Nadia, does he bring her up frequently? Are there, I mean, here's the thing. If his house is filled with pictures because it's him and his family, then he's not making room for a relationship. It could be that you're simply a placeholder in his life right now, and he's not capable of anything deeper. And you have to ask yourself, why stay in a relationship if someone isn't capable of something deeper? I would invite you to ask that question of yourself. Okay. Hey, I want to give props to Gina for the $10 super sticker. Thank you for the love. We appreciate you, Gina. Thank you so much. Anne Marie says, are we all better off alone? So many of you know I'm in a significant relationship right now. It's probably the healthiest, most fulfilling relationship I've ever had. I'm grateful that I hope that she and I can hold hands till the very end together, because life is better with company. Life is better being witnessed. Life is better with a playmate. I recognize, Anne Marie, that love is a risk. It's still the best game in town. Now, we can feel fulfilled in a lot of different ways, whether it's our children, whether it's our friends, other family members, certainly. But I think a romantic relationship, absolutely. I don't think we're better off alone. I don't think we were designed to be alone. And if nothing else, create a support system so you don't feel alone. But are we better off, being by ourselves versus in a romantic relationship? If I was a genie, Anne Marie, and said I could deliver the most perfect person in your life, my question to you, Anne Marie, is, would you say no? If I was a genie and could deliver the most amazing person in your life, would you rather say no? I want you to answer that question, but you already heard my answer. Tsunami. How do I handle a guy long distance who drives to come to see me, who said he would see me in 4 months? How do I communicate that I want to see him more than that if he's an avoidant side? Well, how do I handle a guy? Well, it sounds to me that you're in a situationship. You're not in a relationship. You're in possibly even a friends with benefits dynamic or a hooking up dynamic. It depends. First off, I would identify, Tsunami, what is the type of relationship are looking for? Are you looking for a day in, day out relationship where you do shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills? Or are you looking just for a hookup? Because that's what it sounds like. And you want to see more than that. Why does it take my question is, why would it take 4 months to get together? That would be something worth trying to figure out beside the distance. Maybe he has 3 other lovers where he lives. If he's on the avoidance side, why do you want to be in a relationship with someone who's on the avoidance side? That would be a couple of my questions I'd want answered. Debbie goes on to say, Jonathan, you deserve so much, as your beautiful lady does too. Oh, thank you, Debbie. I appreciate that. Anne Marie has come back and said, thanks. I met someone who feels like a soulmate. Well, I'm kind of curious, Anne Marie, then why did you ask the question? But that is wonderful, as Debbie says. That's wonderful news. So happy to hear that. I'd want to hear from Tsunami why, what is his reason why it takes 4 months? Here's the thing: when you don't spend regular time with someone, how do you validate what's going on in their lives? It's just based on what it said on the telephone. I wouldn't listen to that. Jessica, hi, John. I'm heartbroken. I was just broken up with by text. Oh, Jessica, I'm so sorry that your relationship ended over text, and I can understand why you're heartbroken. We oftentimes experience heartbreak when we are insecurely attached to someone. That doesn't mean that we couldn't have pain over the ending relationship. And when we feel emotionally devastated, and I'm kind of possibly expanding upon your words, heartbroken, when we feel emotionally devastated, oftentimes we have an insecure attachment with someone. We made them our lives, we gave them our power. And the fact that he broke up with you text suggests to me that the two of you didn't have a very solid relationship to begin with. And I'd be curious to know, and again, I'm sorry, Jessica, I'd be curious to know what reason he gave you via text. What was his reason for it? I'd be curious to know that. But again, Jessica, we all here are sorry, and thank you for the $5 super sticker. We appreciate your generous donation. So thank you so much. And Debbie once again says she's sorry as well. All right, if you have a question, write the word question, then post the question thereafter. All right, I have a question that came in before. Jonathan, I still crave passion and excitement and love, but people tell me to lower my expectations at this stage. Is it unrealistic to want excitement and deep connection? Well, first off, I just want to say that, excitement and deep connection should be the goal of every relationship, okay? At least in my opinion. Do you have high expectations? Maybe you have. Maybe it's possible that you focus on attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection without looking to see, do we share the same values? Do we have a vision for a future that's the same? Do we have lifestyles and blendable? And most importantly, are they emotionally mature enough to be in relationships? So I get that you crave excitement and passion. Most everybody does. And it's important to have what you desire, but I guess lower your expectations. I'd be curious if maybe you have unrealistic expectations that go far beyond passion and excitement. Maybe the way you evaluate a man is if he's not 6'2" and worth, $5 million, maybe that's what your expectation issues might be. I don't know. But I think to have excitement and passion is what most people desire in a relationship. And I don't think you have to lower that desire. Now, if you're expecting it to be off the charts, maybe you do have unrealistic expectations. You might want to evaluate that, okay? Natural Flow says sometimes breakups are a real blessing. Yes, coming back to Jessica, when it's not right for one person, Jessica, it's not right for two people. I know that sounds a little dismissive, but it's not. If it's not right for one person, it should be right for both people. You should want to be in relationship with someone who wants to be in relationship with you. And so I look at, what is it? Rejection is God's protection. I don't know how long the two of you were together. Maybe you could share that with us. But if it's a short-lived experience, then it's a blessing. Okay, Anne Marie is back in the house. He's just very immature as regards to relationship. If this one doesn't work out, I feel like leaving the game. That's why I made a comment, better alone. Got it. So you're with your soulmate, but he's immature regarding relationships. Well, then maybe you should work on maturing your relationship. Maybe the two of you should read the book, How to Be an Adult in Relationship. Maybe the two of you should read this together. And if he's unwilling to read it, then is he really your soulmate? I mean, the fact that you use that terminology has me wondering if you're in a fantasy-based relationship instead of a grounded, present, emotionally secure relationship. That would be my question, Anne Marie. And I understand wanting to leave the game, but as I said before, love is a risk, but it's still the best game in town. Tsunami says he came to see me every month, but took the last 3 months. He said I seemed fine because I was living my own life. 4 months because he had an event in the area, and then the breadcrumbs about the future and no hookups. Okay, got it. Well, what's your plan? What's your plan of taking the distance from long to short? This should be the first conversation. But by the way, ladies, when the penis goes inside of the vagina on a regular basis and you're in a long distance dynamic, you should be talking about how to take the distance from long to short. Otherwise, it's just hooking up. It's a bubble relationship. All right. Jessica wants to point out we've been together 6 months. Yeah, usually the 3 to 6 month is the make or break it period of a relationship. And so I know he probably should have done it at the 3-month mark. He carried it out. Carried it probably. He probably felt this way at the 3-month mark, most likely. And I'm sorry he carried it out. I think if we can, I think within 3 to 4 months, we know whether or not we see a long-term future with somebody. I think he probably reached his expiration date and went a little bit past it. Anne Marie says, I'll gift him the book for Christmas. September, October, November, December. That's 4 months away. I'd buy that book now and read it together. That would be my suggestion, Anne Marie. Jessica says, it seems like he couldn't handle any conflicts. Yeah, a lot of people are poor at conflict resolution. And so if that's the case, I'm sorry. Again, it took him that long to come to that conclusion. Every relationship is going to have conflicts. You're going to have differences in your relationship. How you navigate differences is the make or break piece of relationship. Men and women oftentimes do this. It's his fault. It's her fault. It's her fault. It's his fault. It's his fault. It's her fault. They're pointing the finger and they're not looking at the 3 fingers pointing back at them. And by the way, we all play a role in the dysfunction of our relationships. We all play a role. It's naive to act like it's the other person's fault. So anyway, all right, if you have a question, write the word question and post the question thereafter. I got another question that came in. Nadia says she posted a question. Let me see. Nadia, we answered your question previously. We do. Exactly. We all do. All right. Jonathan, I'm torn because I still love someone who isn't treating me the way I deserve. When do I know it's time to finally walk away, even if my heart still is attached? Well, when you say he doesn't treat me as I deserve, it sounds like the two of you don't have genuine conversations about where is this relationship going and more, or the present aspect of a relationship and where is this relationship going? Because when you're having regular conversations about how did you get to where you're at, where are you today, how do you want to be in a relationship, where do we want this to go? When you're having regular conversations, then in those conversations, you can share what your needs and your wants are, And by the way, we all have needs in relationship. That's not being needy. We all have needs. And so just recognize that it is absolutely okay to share your needs with someone. And if they're unable to meet it and you feel a strong attachment, then you have to recognize that you might be insecurely attached to a person because if you're not genuinely meeting each other's needs, then there's probably an insecure attachment going on. And that's my perception on that. Bella just popped in and said, there's you, me, and we. Wait, there's you and me and we just disagree. Yes, there's a you, there's a me, and then there's the collective we where the Venn diagram crosses over. Tsunami's back in the house. It is concerning if the first week we talked about long distance, how I'd be willing to move, but we haven't talked about it since. We are 8 months talking. How long is typical to reach commitment? Look at, when you choose to engage in a long distance relationship and you're not making plans after about 3 to 6 months, especially if you talk on the phone regularly, then I guess, if you're not making plans by between the 3rd and 6th month, I'd say you're rolling the dice. I would say it doesn't mean you actually move within 3 to 6 months, but if you actually aren't looking at apartments, looking at living in circumstances, making plans to move, I'd say within 3 to 6 months, then you're rolling the dice on that person. And a lot of you folks, a lot of you act like children. You act like children. If you're going to do a grown-up relationship, then have grown-up conversations and actually make plans with one another, because you can spend years and years and years in a relationship that's unfulfilled, going nowhere, based on hope, on fantasy, but Jonathan, I love this person. It's just supposed to work out. Grown-ups, you have to act like a grown-up. How to be a grown-up in relationship. Read this book. Might behoove all of you. All right, folks, we're coming up on the hour. I think I've shared a lot today. Did you get value in what I shared? If I did, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. I'd also like to hear any suggestions as well. If you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell and hit that hype bell as well. Also, if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's links to join my group. There's links to get the books I recommend, to follow me on Instagram and social media, and to get my dating vows, all listed below. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. Thank you, Debbie. As I always do, by giving myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love as well, if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. By the way, I want to thank Debbie. Nature Flow just posted a comment. It says, is it a bad idea to get back with an ex? What questions can I ask myself to help decide? Well, I would first examine what was the reason for the ending, Nature Flow. What was the reason for the ending? And how has that shifted now that you want this person back? Or do they want you? Well, is it a bad idea to it sounds like you want to get back with someone, but do they want to get back with you? And have you examined how you can build a healthy, happy relationship together? Those would be some of the questions I'd be asking Nature Flow. Okay. Nadia comes back. Well, we got some questions. I asked him if he wants a relationship, but he is stuck. I think my mother and family think he needs time, but it's been 13. Wow. Been 13 years. If he's still, wait, is this the one that has a spouse that passed away? If he's still feeling a charge 13 years later and he's stuck, I don't know. What is he doing to heal? Find out, what is he doing to heal? Is he going to therapy? Is he talking to someone? What is he doing to heal? Those would be questions I'd ask. All right, we're going to wrap up tonight. Hey, everyone, thanks so much. Wishing you all a super duper wonderful